G'day guys, how are we going? Well, here we are, 7:30. Having another yarn to you guys, another Sunday night chat, live chat with you guys. Pretty keen to see how you guys are all going. But the topic I want to have a bit of a chat to you tonight about, it's about this thing here. Now, hang on, stand it up here. Don't think of damn heavy things. But this thing, the old high lift jack, all right? How many of you still carry one of these things around and still use it? This, I'd be very interested to know. So we'll get into this topic tonight, and hopefully everyone's on. Good on you guys. Ross, g'day, loud and clear, like to hear that. Leanne's already on, eating some ice cream going tonight, not a bad night for that. And Sam, thanks very much there, guys, for coming in there early tonight. So yeah, the old high lift jack, fair dinkum. Who still carries one of these around and who still uses one? Because like that's my one there, and I don't carry it anymore, and probably don't think I'd ever probably use it again. They're big heavy thing. Look, they're certainly handy in some situations, some recovery situations, that sort of thing with the old high lift jack, but also a very dangerous item too if they're not used properly. I've got another video there where I go into a fair bit of detail about how to use one of these high lift jacks fairly safely. So maybe check that one out if you are considering getting one or a bit unsure how to use one, but have a look at it. But when it comes to, if you've got a flat tyre or something like that, well, this is all I'm using. This is all I've got. Not that I get many flat tyres, but this is all I use. I've still got just my standard jack that comes with my Mighty GU Patrol. That is all I carry as far as changing tyres. And then underneath that, I just put a block of wood under it so it's, nice and stable and doesn't sink into the ground if I've got to change a tyre, which very rarely ever happens. So, I don't know what sort of things you guys may be using them for. Look, they certainly can be handy, for, if you can use them as a hand winch if you don't have a winch on your vehicle. Very heavy sort of a hand winch to carry around, and take a lot of work and a lot of that sort of thing to use one as a hand winch. But, if that's all you've got, well, so be it. It's going to get you out of trouble eventually. But, when it comes to, changing tyres and, if you get a flat tyre or you burst a bead off a rim or something like that, you got to change a tyre over, change a wheel over. The old high lift jack aren't really a good suitable item especially for changing wheels, because especially like most full drives, we've all got at least 2-inch lift or 3-inch or even some higher. Well, if you go using one of the high lift jacks here, to get a wheel off, well, you got to jack your full drive up until that suspension takes up before the tyre even comes off the ground. And they can be really high and very dangerous for those sort of situations where, using a high lift jack for, for changing tyre, whereas the good old jack, whereas you guys might have, a little hydraulic bottle jack or something like that. Well, that just goes straight under my diff, and I can adjust the height of it there for whatever height I want to, plus that base plate I've got, which I showed you earlier. That goes straight under the diff and lifts the tyre straight away. You've only got to get tyre off the ground at an inch or so, and then you can get that tyre off, change it over, and you're back on the road again. And a lot safer, I think, than using one of those things, big heavy things for, for changing tyres and things. But if any of you guys have got one, look, we'll jump into it. 2 bottle jacks Sam's got. Go, Craig, how you going there, mate? And Greg, good on you guys. Got one, carry it. Frightened like hell of it. Yeah, look, they are a dangerous thing. There's no doubt about that, Ross. And if they're not used properly, they can be very, very dangerous item. As I sort of explained in that little video that I did a little while ago about how to use one of these things safely. But Adam, nope, not me, and I'm going to never ARB hydraulic. Yeah, look, I haven't seen one of those hydraulic jacks in the flesh. They look all right, and certainly maybe a safer option. They're probably a lot lighter than this big, heavy high lift jack here, which I showed you earlier on. These things have got to be 20 kilo, I reckon. Probably somewhere around there, pretty close to. And it's a big, heavy item, hanging off your roof rack, and we're all looking at ways of cutting down on weight and that sort of thing. But I just don't know, because they're an item that you don't see a lot of them, even more these days. You don't see a lot of high lift jacks, hanging off roof racks of full drives when the people are going away. So I'm just wondering whether this is one of these items that's going to slowly become, by the wayside, and people just aren't going to use them around anymore. Well, look, I suppose it depends also too what sort of full drive and how crazy, sort of stuff you're doing. And what sort of tracks you're going to be doing, where one could be handy, but because you can also use them, to lift tyres off the ground or lift your four drive up a bit, so you can get, if you get stuck in big ruts and things, if you bottom out and you can get some logs and stuff under your tyres, so maybe get a bit of ground clearance so you can get yourself out. But I think if I got in that situation, which probably not going to be too often I get in that situation, but if I did, I'd probably winch myself out and then, then maybe look at getting going again. But I don't know, but it's just one of those things, the big eye lift. Not many people using them. Mr. Speaker, the exhaust jacks. Yeah, look, I've never had an exhaust jack either, but that's an interesting one too. You don't really see a lot of people using the exhaust jacks, but again, I've seen plenty of videos of them being used, and certainly handy, and especially in sand situations like that. But got to be careful around rocks and things. But yeah, I don't know. Leanne's considered a hydraulic jack. They are heavy enough. I've never checked out one of those hydraulic ones, so hydraulic high lifts. And I'm not sure, whether they'd even get the lift, the height that these things get. I mean, mine's not even high enough to lift mine off my four drive off the ground. You'll see if anyone's watched that video, or I show you how to use it. It still didn't even get the tyres off the ground when I jacked up off that bull bar. And that's the other thing with a high lift jack. I have seen this happen. I have seen high lift jacks hanging off roof racks, and all they've got's a front bull bar, and that's it. There's no steel bars at the back, and there's no rock sliders, no sort of things either side to warrant carrying one of these to use it. So if that's the case, you can only ever use it off your bull bar at the front. They're no good unless you got steel bars front and rear, and really to get the full benefit out of them. They're no good for, you can't jack off the back off there if you only got plastic bumpers. So, but I have seen them on full drives. So it's a bit of a giggle when you do see it, because they've only got a front bull bar, and that's it to carry one of these around. As I found out on the weekend, it's not. But when you damage your car while out full driving and camping, it can certainly damage it. No doubt about that. I use the airlift jack. Works a treat, big flat base, and runs an air compressor. Yeah, right. I'm not sure about that one. Maybe similar to those big air jacks, but yeah, the big bags that sit under your chassis or whatever you got to do, they just plug straight in your exhaust, if it's the same one you're talking about there. They're good in recovery to get stuff underneath. Well, yeah, I sort of mentioned that too, but I suppose it really depends on what sort of driving you're going to be doing. If you know you're going to go out and do, some really deep, ruddy, clay sort of deep rut sort of tracks, well, then you might warrant carrying one maybe just for the day, just for that one time, where you might bottom yourself out and need a bit of extra clearance to get through. Well, that's where the high lift would certainly be handy for that, to get a log or something underneath your tyres so you can get a bit more clearance to get going. Not for camp tour trip, but would take one away, weekend warrior trip. Well, yeah, that's probably one there, Shannon. I was going to say, yeah, it depends on what sort of trips you're going to go and do as to whether you might carry one away. And certainly you're going to do some crazy stuff like that, big, steep, clay, ruddy sort of tracks. Well, maybe warrant sort of maybe taking one along. High lift jacks are good for taking star pickets out of the ground. I actually have seen them for that use too. They are really handy for that if you've got the right attachments to wrap around a star picket. Yeah, they're certainly really handy for that. Look, I've even used them, just for lifting timber fences at home. If your fence falls over and that sort of thing, there are a few uses you can use them at home as well. But I don't know whether I'd ever probably carry it again on my full drive, just for that weight factor. And yeah, couldn't see myself ever use it. Craig's carries two bottle jacks, one and one squat. There you go. So yeah, a couple of bottle jacks probably just as handy for changing, especially changing tyres. They're fair some scary things when you see people jacking their full drives up to change a tyre. The height you got to get out of them just to get that tyre off the ground before that. Once the suspension's got to take up first before that tyre even thinks about coming off the ground. Fitting your car's a long way off the ground and really, really unsafe. And but yeah, there's the bottle jacks to go. Yeah, I've got a 6-ton bottle jack in the back. There we go. So yeah, the bottle jacks are certainly coming out. Very similar to what I'm using here. Mine's just the old standard one that came with my patrol when I very first bought it. And but yeah, that's what I would use if I ever needed to change a tyre. Wayne, the problem with bottle jacks is finding one that's suitable for lifting 1,000 kilos and small enough to fit under your diff when the tyres are flat. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but this one here, I don't know what this one's rated. Probably got a rating on it somewhere. There we go, 1,800 kilo, working safe limit there for that one there, the one that I've got. And that's just the Nissan standard one. So, you know, Y61, yeah, working low limits, 1800 kilo. So certainly plenty of limit there for lifting a corner off the ground to, if I've got to change a wheel or a tyre or something, whether it be out on the road or out in a track somewhere. So no dramas with that one. Might take a little bit longer with cranking it up. I've got a few attachments there that I've got to put in it to, wind it up. But hey, does the job, and shouldn't be rushing these things anyway when you're just doing any sort of recovery or tyre change. Just take your time. So there's no real rush to get it done. As long in a day you get it done and back on the road again. Kevin, what about using tyre repair kit or for a flat? No need to use a jack. Well, yeah, it depends on, I suppose, if you've torn a sidewall or something like that, or put a hole in it that way, yeah, if you've got some of those plugs you can put in it and then just pump it back up again, yeah, just to get you out of trouble. Yeah, tyre repair kits, they're certainly handy too, and you don't have to take tyre even off if you've got one of those things. So, yeah, that's probably another good option there, Kevin, that's for sure. Airbag works good. Just got to chock all the wheels. Yeah, same with any sort of tyre or wheel you're taking off. You certainly want to make sure all wheels are certainly chocked before, and in gear, handbrake on, all that sort of stuff before you go taking any wheels off, regardless what you're using, really. So yeah, Ross, most vehicles aren't fitted with any points. Use a haulage jack. They're not. Some winches claim to have jack points, but not sure if they are rated. Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. And it's interesting, some of the bull bars you see that they've got that sort of T section cut out in the front of the bull bar where the actual tongue of the jack meant to slot into. But if your full drive's on an angle, or so is that T section. So how's your high lift jack going to go if it's on the same angle? Because it's going to go straight into that T section. And then, not really going to be much good for you if you're on a wicked angle and you want to try and get some height and use that T section that's designed for the tongue of the high lift jack to go straight into, because, it's going to be on a massive angle as well. And look, mine's got a section in the front of my bull bar as well. It's a sort of a square cut out of it, as you'll see in that video. If anyone sort of watched it, a little square cut out that the tongue can go into. But, you might be able to, even if I was on a bit of an angle, it'd still be able to use that square still and still have the jack sitting straight up and down, which is ideally what you want for using them safely. There's no doubt about that. Luke, see my older brother get belted in the arm, in the head with a Chinese high lift jack. Yeah, mate, look, they are super dangerous things if they're not used correctly, especially when you really get some height out of your full drive and you start really loading that thing up and get some serious weight on it. Until that pin drops back in, that handle is absolutely loaded and pretty lethal. It could be, or losing hands and fingers and that sort of stuff. So you really got to be super careful when you're using a high lift jack if you're going to be taking one out. Because you can certainly break teeth, break fingers, whatever, if that handle slips out of your hand before that pin drops back in to make it safe again. A high lift jack succumbs heavy window maker through the past. Most people have figured out 2 bottle jacks is much better all around. Yeah, that's right. Everyone's going the bottle jacks over high lift. So the old high lift jack, I don't know. It might be one of these items that could be going by the wayside, and I don't know. But just interesting to see, because you don't see many people carrying these things around anymore, and sort of just wondering why, whether it's just don't use them anymore, and apart from the fact they are super heavy. As I say, mine's probably the best part of 20 kilo in weight. But yeah, apart from that, they might look all right sitting there on the side of your roof, but you don't take them just because they look good. You want to take them because it's practical and you're going to use it. But yeah, if you're not going to be using it, there's a shitload of weight sitting on the side of your full drive that's not being used. So there's some things there, certainly think about with it. By the way, all your videos to date have been awesome to watch. Thanks very much, mate. Greatly appreciate that. No worries. Thanks very much there, mate, for that little feedback on the videos. And yeah, look, we're certainly going to roll out as many more as we can going forward and coming into Christmas and beyond. But yeah, these lives are pretty good. Ross, I see them on roof racks. They must put a huge pressure on the rails and that sort of stuff, especially on that one side, because they're all, just hanging on that one side. And yeah, they would put a lot of weight. You got a little bit of weight of the roof rack for a start, sitting on the rails on whatever side you got it on. Then you got 20 kilo as well hanging off it as well. So yeah, there's a lot of weight that's sitting on that one side of that roof rack and puts those mounts under severe pressure. There's no worries about that. So yeah, g'day Shannon, how you going there, mate? Good to see you dropping in there tonight. Hopefully everything's going all right with you. Good to see you on. Leanne, I need to buy a stand. Is that what you call them? Put under the jack. Look, you can get, if you're going to, or you get any sort of jack, but you can get like, especially if you're talking high lift jacks, you can get molded plastic. Well, they're really thick, heavy duty plastic plate that actually molded to sit underneath a high lift jack. But I just use this. Like even when I was using my high lift jack, I still just use this block of timber. It's just a good solid heavy dude of hardwood. It's not just a bit of pine or anything. It's just a good solid bit of hardwood, and yeah, that certainly does the job. And I use that for my high lift jack for the times I was using it. And now I just keep it in the back, and for the time if I've ever got to use me little jack here, just sits on it. So, but yeah, you can get sort of molded plates if you want to look at something like that, Leanne. Otherwise, just get yourself a real good solid piece of hardwood, and that can sit in your camp box there or your drawers, whatever, and just bring it out if you're ever going to need it. Is certainly the go. Darren, how you going, mate? Can't use bottle jacks for emergency winch like a high lift can. Yeah, look, there's twos and fro's for both of them, I suppose, and just got to wait up and to see what sort of driving you're going to be doing as to whether you warrant carrying a high lift around. And yeah, I don't think I'm ever probably going to put that back on my roof rack again and carry it around, but that's just at this stage. But it'll just sit out in the shed, and who knows, one day it might get used again, but at the moment, but probably not. The White Ox here, mate. I use 2 bottle jacks with a high lift base plate. Yeah, can't raise the vehicle to the height I need safely and live to tell the tale. Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. As long as you got the height, because with your bottle jack, and that's why I carry that. Also carry that timber plate because it gives me that extra inch as well, and then with the height of the jack, and I can screw the top out of it for that, just so so I can get that bit of extra height to reach underneath the diff arms there on the side of the diff housing. And yeah, look, it works, no worries at all if I've got to change one. But fair dinkum, I haven't had to pull a tyre off and change it couldn't tell you last time I had a flat tyre. So yeah, the old jack doesn't get used a great deal, but it just sits in the back there for those times when I might need it. Useless for the patrol. What's useless for the patrol, the jack or the one I've got, or the high lift jack there? So I'm not sure which one you mean there. You're sure you let us know. Jack stands hold up car safely. Jack stands do hold up car. Yeah, if you're looking for something like that, yeah. Or if you're looking to do it for at home, I've got those jack stands and they sit underneath, and they're the best thing to do if you're going to start doing wheel rotation and taking tyres off, that sort of stuff at home. Is definitely must put jack stands under just in case your jack comes down. I have the high lift jack to look cool and impress people. I don't know. Well, if that's why you're carrying around, that's all cool. No, if that's why you want to carry it, but yeah, yeah, I wouldn't be carrying it just for that reason. A lot of weight, extra fuel, all that sort of stuff, and there's probably 20 kilos I'd probably rather put in my full drive that I can use rather than having 20 kilos hanging off my roof that I'm probably never going to use ever again. So, you probably put that 20 kilo to better use with taking something else around, taking up something else that you might need. Right, so there we go. So that was a little quick one, but I was just really keen just to get people's thoughts on these high lift jacks, and are they going to be a thing of the past going forward? And because you just don't see many around, and that's probably the reasons why I reckon that people just don't use them anymore. And winch would probably get you out of trouble if you needed to get yourself out of some big ruts until you get going again. But you just got to weigh that up and see which way you're going to go and what sort of full driving you're going to go and do. So there we go, guys. That's an interesting one. Good old high lift jack. I think mine's going to sit in the shed for a long time yet, and I'm sure there are going to be a few others that are going to be doing the same thing. But thanks very much, guys. Some interesting feedback, and everyone's going the bottle jack. That's just interesting stuff. So, yeah, old high lift might be going out of date, and see what happens down the track. But thanks very much, guys. They're dropping in there tonight. Sam and Ross, thanks very much, guys. And Alex, thanks very much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Next one might be next week sometime. Might be a midweeker, but I'll see what happens with the next one. Not sure if we'll be able to do a Sunday night one. Might be a Thursday or Friday night one. We'll see how we go next week. I'm going to talk about some places where you can go camping, base camping with caravans and camper trailers in that Dargo area. I've had a few people asking me about this, so let's have a chat about it. That'll be the next live. Good on you guys. Thanks very much. Catch you then. Hooroo. Have a good week. See you later.